Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Um, but before anything else, I would like to ask if how are you feeling today? But anyway, okay. For today's content, I'm going to have a a brief but as much as possible a comprehensive discussion on what is quasi-experimental design.
So, what is quasi-experimental design? So, the prefix quasi means resembling. So, therefore, quasi-experimental design is a research that resembles experimental research but is not a true experimental research. Although the independent variable is manipulated, participants are not randomly assigned to conditions or orders of conditions. So because the independent variable is manipulated before the independent variable is measured, quasi-experimental research eliminates the directionality problem. So when to use quasi-experiments? So quasi-experiments are most likely to be conducted in field settings in which random assignment is difficult or impossible to administer. They are often conducted to evaluate the effectiveness of a treatment, perhaps, or for example, a type of psychotherapy or an educational interventions. So there are many different kinds of quasi experiments, but we will discuss just a few of the most common ones here. Actually, there are three variants of quasi experimental design. So these are non-equivalent groups design. The second one is the pre-test, post-test design, and the third one is the combination design. So what is a non-equivalent groups design? So for example, when participants are not randomly assigned to conditions, however the resulting groups are likely to be dissimilar in some ways, for example. So in that reason, researchers consider them to be non-equivalent. So therefore, a non-equivalent groups design is a between subjects design in which participants have not been randomly assigned to conditions. For example, a researcher who wants to evaluate a new method of teaching, for example, a new method of teaching fractions to grade 3 pupils. So, one way would be to conduct a study with a treatment group consisting of one class of grade 3 pupils and another control group consisting of another class of grade 3 pupils. So this design would be a non-equivalent groups design because why? Because the students are not randomly assigned to classes but the researcher, which means there could be an important differences between them. So that is the example of non-equivalent groups design. So now let's move on to the second variant of uh, quasi-experimental design, which is the pre-test post-test design. So in a pre-test post-test design, the dependent variable is measured once before the treatment is implemented and once again after it is implemented. For example, let us just say a researcher who is interested in the effectiveness of an anti-drug education program on elementary school students' attitude toward illegal drugs. So the researcher could measure the attitudes of the students at a particular elementary school during 1 week or during the first week and implement the anti-drug program during the next week and finally measure their attitude again in the following week. So the pre-test post-test design is much like a within subjects experiment in which each participant is uh, tested first under the control condition and then in the next one under the treatment condition. So that is an example of pre-test post. So we are now in the last variant of quasi-experimental design, so which is the combination designs. Uh, this type of quasi-experimental design is generally better than either of the first two, which are the non-equivalent groups design or the pre-test post-test design. Why it is generally better? Simply because combination designs, no, from the word itself, combination, meaning this type of design is the combination of the elements of the first two variant of quasi-experimental design. So in this type of design, there is a treatment group that is given a pre-test, receives a treatment, and then is given a post-test. But at the same time, there is another group which is the control group that is given a pre-test but does not receive the treatment and then is given a post-test afterwards. So the question then is not simply whether participants who receive the treatment improve, but whether they improve more than participants who do not receive the treatment. So uh, for example, the students in one school, are given a pre-test on their attitudes toward drugs, then are exposed to an anti-drug program, and then finally they are given a post-test. But on the other hand, students in a similar group are given the pre-test, but they are not exposed to an anti-drug program. But they are not they are not exposed to anti-drug program. But finally, they are given a post-test. So again, if the students in the treatment condition become more negative towards drugs, this change in attitude could be an effect of the treatment, but it could be also be a matter of history or maturation. So if it really is an effect of the treatment, then students in the treatment condition should become more negative than students in the control condition. But if it is a matter of history, just like for example, they have seen or they have read the news of a celebrity drug overdose or maturation, just like improved in reasoning, so then the students in the two conditions would be likely to show similar amounts of change. So this type of design does not completely eliminate the possibility of confounding variables, however. So something could occur at one of the schools but not the other. So students at the first school would be affected by it while students at the other school would not. So that is the example of uh, combinations design. Goodbye everyone. Thank you for watching and see you next time.